Hello and welcome to On Average, the channel that brings you fascinating facts about averages. We're your go-to for intriguing insights on the most average things in life. Today, we dive into an intriguing topic: the average amount of different foods an American eats in a year. To kick things off, let's talk about meat. You might be surprised to learn just how much an average American consumes each year. Let's start with a classic: the hamburger. Imagine this: a tower of hamburgers reaching as high as the Empire State Building. Sounds crazy, right? Well, hold on to your patties because an average American munches their way through about 52 kilos of hamburgers each year. That's roughly equivalent to 1,000 hamburgers. Next up, let's cluck about chicken. The average American's consumption of chicken is quite substantial, and it weighs in at a staggering 48 kilos annually. To put that into perspective, that's roughly the same weight as an adult female bulldog. Now, let's dive into seafood. When it comes to fish, the average American's consumption is a bit less, but still impressive. It's about 7 kilos a year. If you're having trouble visualizing that, it's like eating a full-size bowling ball's weight in fish every year. And what about pork? Well, it's a bit less than chicken, but more than fish. The average American consumes about 22 kilos of pork each year. That's roughly the weight of a car tire. But let's not forget about the steak lovers out there. Beef, excluding what's eaten in hamburgers, accounts for another 25 kilos per person per year. To visualize, that's like eating the weight of a mid-sized microwave in beef. And finally, let's talk turkey. This bird gets a lot of attention around the holidays, but it's enjoyed all year round. The average American consumes about 7.5 kilos of turkey annually. That's about the weight of a healthy newborn baby, so that's a lot of meat, right? But what about fruits and vegetables? Moving on to the healthier side of the plate, let's look at how many kilos of fruits and vegetables an average American eats in a year. When it comes to fruits, apples take the crown. An average American munches through about 11 kilos of apples a year. That's like eating one apple every 3 days. Not far behind, the humble banana weighs in at about 10 kilos per person per year. Now let's talk about the king of citrus, the orange. Surprisingly, oranges lag behind with an annual consumption of just over 7 kilos. On to the vegetables. Potatoes, in their many forms, are the undisputed champions. The average American consumes a staggering 29 kilos of potatoes annually. That's a lot of French fries and mashed potatoes. Following closely behind are tomatoes with an impressive 26 kilos. And let's not forget our leafy greens. The average American gets through just over 9 kilos of lettuce each year. Now let's put that into perspective. If you stacked up all those apples, bananas, oranges, potatoes, tomatoes, and lettuce, it would be taller than a 3-story building. That's a lot of fruits and veggies, but it's still less than the recommended daily intake. And here's a fun fact: despite the popularity of potatoes and tomatoes, the most consumed vegetable in America is actually, drumroll please, corn. But wait, isn't corn a grain, you ask? Well, it's a bit of both. While it's technically a grain, it's often categorized as a vegetable for culinary purposes. And the average American consumes about 10 kilos of it each year. So there you have it. From apples to oranges, potatoes to corn, that's a snapshot of the average American's fruit and vegetable consumption. And remember, these are just averages. Some of us might eat more, some less, but it's always interesting to see where we stand in the grand scheme of things. Interesting, isn't it? Now let's talk about something a bit sweeter. Now, who doesn't love a little sweet treat? Let's see how much an average American consumes in terms of desserts and sweets each year. Our sweet tooth often leads us to the candy aisle, doesn't it? Well, it's not just you. On average, an American consumes about 20 pounds of candy annually. That's the same as the weight of over 7,000 sugar cubes. Imagine stacking that into a candy tower. But let's not stop at candy. There's a whole world of desserts out there. From chocolate chip cookies to apple pies, Americans love their baked goods. On average, an American consumes about 15 pounds of cookies and cakes every year. That's equivalent to the weight of nearly 6,000 chocolate chip cookies. And what about ice cream, that classic summertime favorite? On average, an American enjoys about 23 pounds of ice cream each year. That's like eating the weight of a small toddler in ice cream. But it's not all sweet delights. The average American also consumes about 44 pounds of refined sugar a year. That's equivalent to the weight of an average 5-year-old child. It's clear that the love for sweets runs deep in the American diet. But remember, while these treats can be delicious, moderation is the key to a balanced diet. That's quite a lot of sugar, but how about beverages? Let's find out. Last but not least, let's quench our curiosity with the average consumption of beverages. Now, the average American has quite the affinity for coffee. In fact, they consume about 400 cups of coffee per year. That's more than a cup a day, folks. And when it comes to soda, it's a similar story. The average American guzzles down nearly 45 gallons of soda each year. Picture a bathtub filled to the brim, that's about how much we're talking. But what about alcohol, you might ask? Well, the average American doesn't shy away from a good drink either, consuming about 2.5 gallons of alcohol per year. Imagine filling up a small fish tank. That's your annual alcohol consumption. So next time you're enjoying your favorite drink, you'll know how it adds up over the year. So there you have it, an average American's diet in kilos. From hearty meats to fruits and veggies, indulgent sweets to refreshing beverages, it's quite the gastronomic journey. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to follow us and subscribe to the channel for more fascinating facts about averages. See you next time on Average.